Yo, wonderful people of Earth, thank you very much for clicking this video. Welcome aboard, man. You see, today we shall be talking about love, peace, and showing the importance of unity and forgiveness among humans. We shall be doing this by reacting together through different types of videos. Good vibes videos, animal videos, script videos, work videos, even videos that will make you smile in the middle of a rough day. Kindly watch till the end and help us spread this message of unconditional love across the whole world. Straight out of Africa with good vibes. Lots of good vibes. Tell us where you're watching from, hit the like button, and watch till the end. Let's dive in, man. Good vibes. Good vibes. Oh,
Thankfully there's lots of natural fractures in the trail which makes it easier to break away. That's a really nice big nodule. See if we can get rid of this piece off. There we go. Look at the size of that. There is something inside.
Oh,
It's not an ammonite.
what is
It's
it?
actually fossil poo. It's a coprolite. Damn. Looks exciting. Oh, look at that.
That is stunning. Totally exceeded our expectations.
I have a question about the nature of reality, virtual reality, and living in the layers of it.
Yes.
And with that,
Speak up.
with that, the argons that manipulate the reality in which we live in.
Nope.
And
Nope.
Okay.
No.
And the essential.
No. Why are you continuing beyond that point?
Okay.
Nobody manipulates the reality you live in but you. Remember, even if someone offers you the idea that they're manipulating you, you have to agree with that and match that frequency in order to experience it in your reality. That's an old-fashioned, outdated definition that someone else can manipulate your reality. I understand that that's a description of how it feels, but that's the difference between a description of an experience and a description of the actual underlying mechanism at hand that's creating the experience. No one can manipulate your reality but you. But you can pretend that someone can by buying into a belief system that they are. But they're not. Is this understandable?
Yes.
All right. So what else were you going to say?
The ascension through the layers of reality. So if it's
Yes.
virtual,
It's all virtual.
Yes, right. So, but there's layers to the virtual.
Because you create layers for your process. Yes.
Okay, and the ascension through those layers, or
Is the raising of your frequency so that you can perceive more of the idea that there aren't really layers.
and then the mirrors that surround the soul.
The mirrors, again, are simply reflections for you to determine what it is you prefer, to reflect to you what you believe to be true so that you can decide whether or not to maintain that belief or change it.
I see.
Is that helping?
Yes, and the catapult for this, the catapult.
The catapult?
Right. So,
What do you mean by that term?
let's say going in nature and spending time, like for 10 days
Oh,
out.
so you're talking about different forms of what we just spoke about when we talked about permission slips.
Can you elaborate?
I just did. I explained what permission slips are.
specifically in raising the consciousness
Yes.
to a higher level, or what you would say the shift in Earth that is occurring at this time.
Yes, you act on your passion to the best you can with no insistence on the outcome. That's how you continually raise your vibration. That's the formula. That's why we're giving you the formula
So
to
then,
do that very thing.
then what happens when you biolocate, when you're in two places at once?
You have to understand that you do exist in all places at once, but that all places are here. You're only imagining them to be different places. You're simply seeing yourself from different perspectives simultaneously in the same place. There is only one moment and only one place, here and now. So anything that you experience, whether it be a single projection or a multiple projection, what you're referring to as bilocation, is just another perspective of the reality that exists here and now, and you're injecting a concept of distance into it. There is no such thing as distance. That's an illusion.
So when these things happen simultaneously,
Yes?
so when you biolocate and you're in these both places
Yes.
simultaneously, you can
Yes.
see both realities occurring
Yes.
at the same time.
Because they already exist simultaneously. So you're expanding your senses to be able to incorporate more than one perspective simultaneously.
Okay.
Simple as that.
And the fractals that we see everywhere, how...
Fractals are an expression, pattern of consciousness that underlies the foundation of what you call physical reality. You had to create a structure, in a sense, in your consciousness in order to build physical reality on. It's kind of like an energy template that reveals itself in these fractal mathematical ratio patterns because it's showing you what the vibrational pattern is you've created in your consciousness in order to create the illusion of physical reality. You're looking at the blueprint, so to speak.
Okay, so I see it as a wired frame. It's like a loading frame.
All right.
And then, but it's empty space. It's just nothing but...
Well, yes, all right, that's one way to interpret it, but there's actually no such thing as empty.
Right, everything and nothing. And nothing
Yes.
is everything.
Yes, but even nothing is something. Remember, there's no such thing as non-existence, actually.
Right, so that's...
So even nothing is something.
I see.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Today I'm going to teach you how to overcome your fear of failure. In the early 2000s, a researcher named David Conroy was studying college athletes who had a fear of failure. What he discovered was really surprising. They weren't actually afraid of failing. They were afraid of something else. Underneath this feeling of I'm afraid to fail, there are actually 5 very specific fears that power it. 1, fear of shame. If I fail, this will be so embarrassing for me. 2, fear of devaluing the way you see yourself. If I fail, it means I'm not the person I thought I was. 3, fear of an uncertain future. If I fail, it will derail my future hope. 4, fear that it will change the way that other people see me. If I fail, my friends won't want to hang out with me anymore. And 5, fear of upsetting other people. If I fail, my parents will be so disappointed. If you can identify which one of these 5 is most affecting you, then you can target it appropriately to overcome it. If you're afraid of feeling embarrassed, say to yourself, yes, it's not fun to be embarrassed, but I've felt that way before and I got through it and I could get through it again if I need to. If you're afraid that it will change the way that you see yourself, remember that you don't want to define yourself by your successes or your failures. You want to define yourself by the fact that you keep trying. If you're afraid of an uncertain future, say to yourself, I'm avoiding doing what I really want to do because it's giving me a false sense of control over the future. But in fact, this is actually just getting in the way of the future that I want. If you're afraid that it will change the way that other people see you, remember that you deserve to have people in your life who love you for you, not for your performance. And finally, if you're afraid of upsetting other people, remember that they are always going to have opinions and feelings about who you are and what you do. But the opinions and feelings that matter the most are yours. Make sure that you are making the choices that are right for you, because you're the one who has to live with those choices.
Oh. What's up to yourself, man? Oh, you're a lovely soul. Look at this here, lovely creature doing gymnastics. Oh, that's interesting. Oh my god. Look at this. These are ancient drawings from... Oh, who did this stuff? I don't know, people from the past that used to draw on walls. Oh my god. And it's like they had drawn the technology that we are using right now. What? Oh my god. How did the storage people discover that? Do you think storage people really used to have transformers like the ones we have here? Or something like that? Please reveal that. Some wonderful guy here is saying some mechanism here, some physics. Oh, this is interesting. You put some magnet and some coil and you put the magnet again. What do you think this guy is trying to make? You see? Humans are very creative, and you might find out that this guy is maybe making a plane or something like that, you see, or a car that moves without being powered by anything, you see, like the type of car that just moves on good vibes. Let's see, man. Watch it in the end. Hit the like button, man, and leave some comment. You're a wonderful soul yourself, you see. It's like this guy has put the bulb to the car now, and oh my god, what? This is interesting. Oh, you see, like he's using magnetism to produce electricity.
Major shift coming in 2024, and if you are sensitive, you can probably feel that something is stirring up in the collective, like a calm before storm. If you look into Chinese metaphysics, you will find that both the Bazi chart of the year and the Qimeng chart of the year, which are two different systems of Chinese metaphysics, point out to something very interesting and very similar. Without boring you with technicalities, the Bazi chart for 2024 has a double clash. And this is an indication of a major shift. Chart for the year is a Fuyin chart, which is like a stagnation, but it actually means there is a big reset coming. And if you actually compare the Qimeng chart for the year 2024 and the Qimeng charts for the years that started the World War I and World War II, they're very, very similar. And I'm not saying that World War III is coming. Please don't think that this is what I want to say. It's more about this year being quite a shift and quite a big, explosive, perhaps shocking events that will shake humanity to its core. So what can you do about it? Well, the most important thing is for you to stay calm and don't let this collective aura affect your day to day. Your personal energy field can become like a greenhouse. So whilst there will be explosive temperaments and perhaps some big events in the collective, you can still thrive in your greenhouse. If your own energetic field is in order, if you have cleared ancestral karmic patterns, have rewired certain subconscious, deep-seated beliefs, you can still thrive in this coming year, no matter what's gonna go on. The reason I've made this video is not to scare you, but to encourage you to actually start working on your personal energetic field so that you can become more resilient no matter what goes on in the collective. So have a gift for you if you wish. This solstice, so on the 21st of December, I held a transmission that I only did for my private clients. It was like a new earth transmission to prepare you for what's to come, to actually minimize the risks and maximize opportunities. It's a channel transmission. I've been called to make it available to general public. If you would like to receive it, please let me know in the comments and I'll make it available and point you in the right direction. Hope you have a wonderful 2024, no matter what goes on. And if you have any questions, do let me know in the comments below.
What's the first thing you see in this picture? If you first saw the leaf, then you are a super likable person. Social networking is your talent, and you can make anyone your friend. But although you may seem very warm and polite on the outside, in reality, you rarely trust others because you've been hurt too many times in the past. You're also very stubborn. Once you set your mind on something, you will do it, no matter what other people say. If you first saw the lips, then you have a sensitive and emotional personality. You recognize the evils in society, but choose to see the best in others. You're often willing to concede on small things, not because you're a pushover, but because you can't be bothered to argue. Lastly, your biggest hate is two-faced people who talk behind your back.
It's God's will this, it's God's will that. Now, there are many ways to understand this concept. Since you are creating the idea of your life and begin to choose that experience from a higher plane, the spirit level of your being, and create a kind of theme or destiny in your life that you then augment with your free will in physical reality, destiny being the theme or the hallway, free will being how you explore that theme or how you walk down that hallway. Thus, you could, in a sense, relegate the concept of God's will to the idea of the destiny that you yourself set up to explore the theme of being you. So that's one way to look at the concept. But on the broader perspective, the idea doesn't really make sense. Because while many people in their religious philosophy attribute to the concept of God the idea of omniscience, all-knowing, omnipresent, everywhere. If God is, in fact, all-knowing and everywhere, then it is also everything. There can be no space at all that isn't occupied by it, which means you as well, and us, and everything in existence is actually made of God, in a sense.
So, okay, in the pursuit of my passion, I guess there's just a lot of feelings sometimes of just being lost, just in life in general.
Yes, but again, that's when you stop and not move forward and take that moment to say, I am feeling lost. I acknowledge it. I own it. What would I have to believe is true about myself in this situation to have this feeling? Because you know, as we've explained, you cannot have an emotion without believing something to be true. So that's the moment to take the time to ask those questions. Or you can ask it in another, more exciting and slightly scarier way. Since we know many people on your planet are so used to experiencing fear, you can use it to your advantage in the following way by asking the question this way. If, in fact, I did just move forward in the way that I really prefer to, follow my passion without hesitation, if I really allowed myself to be who I really prefer to be, what am I afraid might happen? That will usually reveal the negative belief that's holding you back, that's allowing you to feel lost. So all you have to do is be honest with yourself, acknowledge how you feel, and ask those questions and be willing to find the answer. It will come in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
But that's what those moments are for. You don't plow through them. You don't ignore them. You don't sweep them under your rugs. You stay there and go, this is my opportunity to discover something new about myself. Let me see what kind of belief would I have to be having this experience. Oh, how exciting a mystery is this?
That's really interesting. You see, I always wonder how that guy knows almost everything. You see, from this ad, please, guys, leave some information.
I hear that carbon-14 is found in coal, but that's a problem for millions of years. How come?
Well, it was never expected to be found in coal. Coal seams are said to be tens of millions of years old, hundreds of millions of years old, and carbon-14 has a half-life of something like 5,700 years. So in that time, half would be gone, and within 10 half-lives, basically it'd be virtually gone. Certainly in 20 half-lives, 100,000 years. And yet they find carbon-14 in coal. As a matter of fact, when they developed the carbon-14 instruments, they were looking for a way to test for zero. And they put coal, wanted to use coal as that. They thought it'd be great. But they found that it always contains carbon-14, which contains a problem for them to be able to zero their instruments.
Why do we have seasons? So a lot of people think we have seasons because the Earth is closer to the sun in the summertime and it's further away from the sun in the wintertime. And that seems reasonable until you think about it a little bit deeper and you realize, wait a second, summer and winter are opposite on the hemispheres of the Earth. So when it's summer in the northern hemisphere, it's winter in the southern hemisphere. So it wouldn't make sense for summer and winter to be determined by the distance the Earth is from the sun. So what is it? Well, it's due to the fact that the Earth is tilted. The Earth is not rotating like this on its axis. It's tilted and it's rotating like this. And so when the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, it has more opportunity to collect light. We have more direct sunlight. The sun spends more time in the sky, and that light gets collected and stored in the ground and re-emitted as heat. But in the wintertime, the northern hemisphere is pointed away from the sun, and so the sun spends less time in the sky, we have less direct sunlight, and we have less time to collect light. And the opposite is true for the southern hemisphere. So when the northern hemisphere is pointed towards the sun, the southern hemisphere is pointed away from the sun. And when the northern hemisphere is pointed away from the sun, the southern is pointed towards the sun. That's why the northern and southern hemispheres have opposite seasons. And if you think about it, the equator of the Earth kind of points to the sun kind of the same amount every time. And that's why countries along the equator have pretty temperate climates. Like, they don't really have a summer and winter. They kind of maybe have like a hotter season and a wetter season, but they don't really have seasons. But yes, that's why the Earth has seasons, because the Earth's tilt, not because of the distance from the sun that it is. By the way, in the northern hemisphere, the Earth is actually further away from the sun in the summertime than it is in the wintertime. That's how much of an effect this tilt has, rather than the distance of the Earth from the sun. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious. Bye, everybody.
If we chose to be here, what the heck were we thinking?
You were thinking, how exciting.
Well, I mean, what were the attributes that made this challenging existence seem like a good idea?
Let me give you a rough analogy. Perhaps not all the males will be able to relate to this, but we'll think of others in a minute. But the females, maybe, will relate to this. Many of you know that when females have babies, sometimes there's a lot of physical pain. And at a certain point, you may say, I'll never go through that again. A year later, oh, I want to have another child. Have you forgotten what it was like? I guess so. You must remember that when you, in a sense, go into spirit, it's like waking up from a dream. And when it feels like your physical reality was a dream, it's not a big deal for a spirit to say, that was interesting, let's do that again. Because from the perspective of the spirit, that's who you actually are, and this was just a dream. It was just an interesting experience. It doesn't carry a lot more weight than that. So the idea really is that even though we know what you experience in this life, the idea is to learn that this life can actually become more like the spirit experience, and over the course of many generations, that's what you're doing, is creating this reality to be more like the vibration of your true natural self and create heaven on earth. And therefore you understand that there is great impact in this, there is great experience in this, there is great love in this, there is great strength in this. Remember that there are many things going on that connect to the experience you are all having on earth that are not just relegated to your planet alone, to your reality alone. As we have often talked about, there are many civilizations that are going through their own transitions. Many of them are not necessarily as strongly invested in the exploration of darkness and negativity as Earth has been. But the point is that if your people can go through the idea of finding light through the experience of extreme dark, if you can do that, then anything is possible. And those other civilizations can learn from you that if you can do it, they can do it. And you are great teachers in that context. And believe me, when you are in spirit and when you see what effect that has and how loving an act it is for you to experience what you have experienced, you often simply come from the compassion and the unconditional love of creation in thus saying, I will do that again. Now, that's not always the reason. There are sometimes as many reasons as there are individuals. Nevertheless, that's a profound one. It's a strong one. It's one that many of you have chosen. And remember, you all knew before you chose these lives that this was going to be an age of great transformation on your planet. Many of you just couldn't resist going along for the ride. You say, I want to be there right at that time. That's so exciting. It's so interesting. Yeah, I know it'll be a little bumpy. but the interest, the excitement, the outcome will make it worthwhile. You all gave yourselves that guarantee, even though your physical minds don't always remember. This is why it's so important to form these dialogues now and relationships with the higher mind, because the higher mind does know that it's all working out. The only reason it seems not to be is because the physical mind is offering resistance to its natural self. But the less resistance it offers, the more fun the ride will be. Thank you.
Bashar, I think before you've described there's a difference in terms of having an experience when you're a physical being versus if you're in spirit.
Yes.
Could you explain that difference?
Well, there are many different kinds of differences, but again, one is the idea that in spirit, you know that space and time are illusions and manifestations are instantaneous. In a sense, manifestations are also instantaneous in physical reality, but you can create an instantaneous manifestation to seem very similar to the last manifestation. And so it may seem as if manifestation is not instantaneous. But the idea is that gives you the opportunity in physical reality to experience what you call the process of creation. And that gives you a richer, more detailed understanding of the experience than you can have in spirit. And that's one of the main differences. You actually get to see, feel, taste, touch, smell, hear creation happening instead of just having it happen.
So it's an appreciation class, huh?
It is a deep appreciation class, and it is no accident in your language that you have associated that term with the idea of money. Because the notion is, the more you appreciate yourself, the more you know what you're truly worth. And that's an economy that will never falter.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Bashar.
Oh! You know, like I know, like you know, that God knows, that spirit guides, ancestors all know that your vision of your manifestations, of your true sight, you are envisioning yourself as strong, patient, courageous, empathetic, understanding and understanding. But you're seeing everything fucking clearly. It's like you see the crystal road. You see no obstacle is gonna knock you off your path. You're so protected and you're very aware. Damn, you're really aware.
Oh my God! What is happening here? Looks like it's a plane on a road. Oh my God, this is now really creepy. A plane on a road. You see now, this is something that is unfathomable from me and this side of the world. You see, we don't get to see planes like this normally. You see, planes are very special stuff that people even pay to go and see them. You see, like myself, I've never boarded a plane. Nobody from my ancestors, grandparents have ever boarded a plane. Now I see a plane here on the road and this is oppressive. How did it even happen? Oh my God, this is creepy, man. You English people out there, good guys, wonderful people of us watching. Have you ever boarded some plane? Please leave some comments. This is really creepy, man. You see now how good. You see some guys are really lucky. Like the guys in this situation here. You see, these guys got to see a plane live on the road just chilling. The plane got them where they were. They didn't have to go and look for the plane. Wow, wow. You see, this is very abnormal. In normal situations, people could pay and go and look for the plane where they are usually parked. I don't know if it's parked or where they stay before they go. You see, they should go there and see them, and you're just amazed. You see, now this is a plane on a road. How can it even move? Oh my God, this is creepy. Well, this is not a real plane. It's a long bus that looks like a plane. You guys out there watching, please leave your comments. This is creepy, my God. What? You see, the people around here are really surprised. Wow, wow, wow. You see, this is something that happens once in a lifetime. This is not normal occurrences. You see, I wish I was there myself just to see this plane. A plane on the road. Oh my God, this is crazy. Incredible. So you mean a plane is this big that I can see, we cannot see the whole of it, but that part we are seeing around is so big, it's tall, it's big going up. Oh my God, this is crazy. What? Oh, this is wonderful, man. My God, I would have wanted to be there. Oh, oh. And these guys are just moving like it is normal. But these guys are used to seeing this plane. Please leave your comments. You see? Because these guys, they are not acting in any way suspicious or excited. They're just looking at the plane like it has caused delay. You see? And they should be very thankful. You see, this is something that calls for a feast. Oh my God. What? If my ancestors resurrected right now and saw me here, I've seen a plane, and I've seen people that have seen a plane on the road just chilling. They could not believe it. They would be really surprised, and they would wonder how I'm able to survive. Oh, because this is so much happiness, and back then people would have written books.
Something that is being
that is
made
a
more
plane.
and more abundantly clear to me in the last few days is that I should not be quiet about what I'm going through. Because the more and more that I actually wake up, the more I see how asleep everyone who believes they're awake really is. One of you just tagged me in this video about a Kundalini awakening. And I was never super into these terms. In this entire time I've been on this spiritual journey, I was never super into identifying with these different, new age terms, or I don't even know if that's a new age term. That might actually be a religious term for another religion that I just don't know about because I don't know everything. But I never felt like that word resonated with me, Kundalini awakening. However, I have had an experience where it felt like that's what was happening to me. And it did not feel good. It felt extremely terrifying, uncomfortable. It was like a 24-hour anxiety attack. I actually just talked about this in my latest YouTube video if you guys are interested. But the question I have for you is, are you in search of truth or are you in search of suffering? Because something that I've always said, because I've always known this to my core over and over and over, is that the truth will set you free. The truth is unconditional love, and unconditional love is not fear and pain and anxiety. Unconditional love is unconditional. It does not require you to go through this intensely painful, horrible, traumatizing experience to be able to understand what unconditional love is. Okay? It just exists. It's just there. It's just given to you. And it doesn't require these insane circumstances to get to it. So when I had my, you could say, Kundalini awakening, but I didn't know that's what was happening, it felt like there was like a chip or something inserted into my brain. And I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that's what it felt like. It felt like something inserted some new knowledge of something that I didn't know about before. And it was like an activation. That's the word I used to always use. I even had a playlist titled on my TikTok channel titled Activations. And after that moment happened, this 24-hour anxiety attack that was intense and painful and horrible, and I was sobbing and crying and I didn't know what was going on, I felt like I could see the truth finally. But what I was really seeing was what was wrong with everything. It wasn't like I was seeing the truth about everything, which is unconditional love. Okay? I wasn't seeing the beauty of everything. I was seeing what was wrong with everything, including myself. So my vision was like 90% what's wrong with everybody, what's everybody's problem, what's my problem, and then maybe 10% what's good. So I would get a little trickle of what's good about me and what I should be doing. That's when I started this channel, was from that moment, because I learned that I'm supposed to be serving people, because I had been a server at a restaurant my entire work life up to now. And I had also been a teacher many times in my life up to that point. So I realized I'm supposed to serve people and teach them. And it clicked in my head to start doing this. So that was the little 10% of good that I was given. But then it was like 90% pain and suffering and anxiety and social anxiety. And I don't want to be around my friends or family anymore. And there's everything wrong with everyone. And I was calling out everyone for everything they were doing wrong all the time. And I eventually, months and months later, and after doing hundreds of readings with you guys, someone humbled me in one of my readings and told me, you know, that could be true for you, but that's not my experience. And I realized that I thought that what I was doing was unconditional love by telling everyone what's wrong with them all the time. Because that's what I saw all of these other spiritual teachers doing, was calling out the behavior of other people. So I thought I was operating in unconditional love. But what I was really doing was projecting my own insecurities onto everybody else and projecting my own experience and saying, this is what you all are actually supposed to be experiencing, because I've seen the truth. I've been given the truth because I've had this super special awakening experience. And as time went on and on and on, I was feeling more depression, more anxiety, and it wasn't getting better. It wasn't this upward current. It was actually going down all the time. I was spiraling all the time. I realized I was back on this hamster wheel once again. It was just a different hamster wheel, because the one thing, the major key that I can remember from that Kundalini awakening was realizing all of the different hamster wheels myself and everybody around me was on. And I needed to get them all off, and I needed to get myself off. So I finally realized, as we stepped into 2024, and I said out loud, I'm done with this ride. All I'm doing is running in circles. I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be awake or conscious or whatever anymore. I can't do this. It's leading me nowhere. And if it wasn't for my son, I wouldn't be here. Okay? I said those words out loud. And it was like, click. The switch clicked in my head. And I realized all of it is fake. It's all just another illusion. It's just another hamster wheel. There will always be something wrong with you. There will always be something else you need to heal and fix and look at, and somebody's doing something wrong, and you need to tell them, and you need to search for more, and you need to learn more, and read another book, and watch another documentary, and fall down another rabbit hole, and another dimension, and another retreat, and another ceremony, and it's just never ending. And that's when I was led, or rather, Jesus found me, because I'm telling you, I was not looking, and that was the last place I was thinking about looking anyways. I was saying, and I've said in videos in the past, that the Bible's just another book, like, you know, reading The Secret or something. It's just another book that's just going to tell you what you already know. But the truth is that we don't know anything. And I was just humbled beyond any moment I've ever been humbled before in the past, you know, few weeks by learning this. We don't know anything. And I've always known that the universe was in control of everything. That's what I used to say. It's the universe. My natural instinct would be to say God, but I would say, no, that's not right, because all these other spiritual teachers online, you know, they don't say God. They say universe, or they say your higher self. So it can't be God. It's just this thing that we're not going to name or put an identity to. Because remember, shadow work and this Kundalini awakening and all of these things that you do is all about releasing all of your identities so that you're stripped down to nothing. So that you become nothing. But at the same exact time, you are in control of everything, and you are so powerful, and you're manifesting your best reality, and you're the creator. You're the ultimate creator. So why would you be stripped down to nothing? Why would you be stripped of everything that you know and just be sitting there with nothing, just coasting through life with whatever is going to happen? Experiencing whatever experience you're going to experience. That means something else is in control of everything, doesn't it? So the New Age is extremely contradicting. I know this is my longest video I've ever posted on TikTok, so if you're still watching this, thank you for being here. I post very long videos on YouTube all the time if you're interested in sticking around with me for a longer time. I really feel like TikTok is going to start slowly going away soon here. But the point is that New Age is a New Age religion. They call it New Age spirituality so that you don't even recognize that it's just a new religion. But the thing about this new religion is that it causes you to get so stuck deep inside of yourself, and it causes you to shrink down so much. While they're telling you you're expanding, you're actually shrinking down into nothing, and you can't even see outside of yourself anymore. The Holy Trinity becomes me, myself, and I'm in control of everything. So if something bad's happening to me, it's my fault. I caused that to happen. I'm in a low frequency and I need to fix myself more. There's some trauma somewhere in one of my past lives that I don't know about that's causing all this havoc to happen to me. So I just want to let you guys know it doesn't have to be like this. But you have to be able to really wake up and ask yourself, is this what I want to be doing? Do I really want to be suffering my whole entire life? Because that's what I'm doing right now.